I was holding the wine bottle when my mother said it. Everyone, I'd like to make a toast. To family. To health. And to all of my children. Even Emily, our little family failure who finally decided to show up. The bottle felt heavier suddenly. Or maybe my hand just forgot how to work. I stood there in the dining room doorway, still wearing my coat, keys in my other hand. I'd driven 4 hours through holiday traffic. I hadn't even set my purse down yet. 12 faces turned toward me around that long mahogany table. My mother's table. The one she'd insisted on buying 3 years ago. The one that barely fit in the dining room. The one she said made family gatherings feel proper. I'd paid for half of it. She didn't know that. Nobody did. My sister Melissa laughed first. Not a surprised laugh. A comfortable one. The kind that comes easy when you've heard the same joke before, and it wasn't funny then either. "Mom," she said, still smiling. "You can't say that." But she was smiling. Everyone saw her smiling. My mother raised her glass higher. "What? I'm allowed to be honest in my own home. Emily knows I'm just teasing. Don't you, sweetheart?" 17 eyes now. Waiting. My throat felt like I'd swallowed something sharp. "Yeah," I heard myself say. "Of course." I set the wine on the sideboard. My hands were steady. I'd gotten good at keeping my hands steady. What my mother didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd made a decision in the car on the way over. Before the traffic. Before I'd stopped for the wine she'd texted me to bring. Before any of this. I'd decided this was the last time. I just didn't know yet how right I was. "Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing your locations." Now, back to the story. My Aunt Carol cleared her throat and said something about the turkey smelling wonderful. Someone else asked about football. The moment dissolved like it had never happened. Like moments like that always dissolved in my family. I took off my coat. I stayed. And that decision, the one to walk further into that house instead of turning around, that's the one I still think about sometimes. Not with regret exactly, but with something close. If I'd known what the next 3 months would look like, would I have stayed? I don't know. But I stayed. I sat down at the end of the table, the seat nobody wanted because it was too close to the kitchen door and people kept bumping your chair. The seat that was always left for me. My mother was laughing at something my brother-in-law said. Her face was flushed and happy. She was wearing the pearl earrings I'd bought her for her birthday. The ones I'd spent 2 weeks researching because she'd mentioned once, casually, that she'd always wanted real pearls. She'd never asked where they came from. Never asked what they cost. She'd just said, "Oh, these are nice," and put them in. I watched her across that table, surrounded by everyone she loved, saying something about how perfect her life was, how blessed she felt, how grateful she was for her family. And I thought, she has no idea. No idea at all. But she would. I need you to understand something about my family before this goes any further. They're not monsters. That's what makes it complicated. That's what made me stay so long. If my mother was cruel, if she screamed or hit or did anything you could point to and say there, that's abuse, it would have been easier. I would have left at 18 and never looked back. But she never did any of those things. She just had a way of making you feel small without ever raising her voice. I was 7 the first time I realized I was different from Melissa. We'd both entered the school art contest. I spent weeks on my project, a clay sculpture of a horse. I watched YouTube videos on how to make the legs stable. I painted it carefully, 1 layer at a time. Melissa threw hers together the night before. A collage made from magazine cutouts. Mine won 2nd place. Hers didn't place at all. When we got home, my mother looked at my ribbon and said, "Well, that's nice." Then she looked at Melissa's collage and said, "This is beautiful, honey. You're so creative. You know what? I'm going to frame this." She did frame it. It hung in the hallway for 6 years. My ribbon went in a drawer. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was being sensitive. I told myself a lot of things. When I was 12, I made the honor roll every quarter. Melissa made it once. My mother threw her a party. When I asked why I didn't get a party, she said, "Emily, you're naturally good at school." For Melissa, this is a real accomplishment. I learned fast that being good at things made you invisible. Struggling made you interesting. So I tried struggling. I pretended math was harder than it was. I asked for help I didn't need. I acted like tests stressed me out. None of it worked. My mother would just look tired and say, "Emily, I don't have time for this right now. You always figure it out anyway." By high school, I stopped trying to get her attention altogether. I got a job at 16. Saved money. Kept my head down. My mother liked that better. "Emily's so independent," she'd tell people. never needs anything from anyone. What she meant was, Emily doesn't need me. What she didn't realize was, I just stopped asking. Melissa though. Melissa was different. Melissa needed help with college applications, so my mother took a week off work to help her. When I applied to colleges, my mother told me she was sure I'd figure it out. Melissa needed help moving into her first apartment. My mother rented a U-Haul, rallied the family, made it an event. When I moved, I hired movers with money from my summer job. Melissa needed a car. My mother co-signed a loan. When I needed a car, my mother said, "You've been saving, haven't you?" I had been saving. Because I always had to. Here's the thing nobody tells you about being the responsible one. You don't get credit for it. You get expectation. Every time I handled something on my own, it proved I didn't need help. Every time Melissa struggled, it proved she needed more support. It became a loop. A permanent, unbreakable loop. And somewhere in that loop, I became the problem. Not because I failed. Because I succeeded quietly. My mother couldn't brag about me the way she bragged about Melissa. There was no narrative. No comeback story. Just a daughter who kept moving forward without drama. Boring. Forgettable. The family failure. She didn't start calling me that until I was 25. It started as a joke at a barbecue. Someone asked what I was up to, and my mother laughed and said, "Oh, Emily's still figuring things out. Our little late bloomer." I had a master's degree and a job at a consulting firm. Melissa had dropped out of college twice. But Melissa was finding herself. I was still figuring things out. The words were different. The meaning was the same. I wish I could tell you I confronted her. I wish I could tell you I sat her down and explained how it felt. But I didn't. Because I knew what would happen. She'd look surprised. Hurt even. She'd say, "Emily, I'm just joking. You know I don't mean anything by it." And then somehow I'd be the bad guy. I'd be too sensitive. Too serious. Unable to take a joke. So I stayed quiet. I stayed quiet through every joke, every dismissal, every casual cruelty disguised as family banter. And I told myself it didn't matter. But here's what I didn't know yet. What I wouldn't understand for years. Silence has a price. And I was about to find out exactly what I'd been paying. It started with a phone call. 3 years before that Thanksgiving. Before the family failure comment. Before I knew what I was capable of walking away from. I was 27. Living in a small apartment in the city. Working 60-hour weeks but finally feeling like my life was mine. My phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. My mother's voice was strange. Tight. "Emily, I need to talk to you about something." My first thought was cancer. Or Dad. Something medical and terrible. "Your father and I are fine," she said quickly. "But we're having some financial trouble." Financial trouble. The words felt foreign coming from her. My parents had always been comfortable. Not wealthy but stable. They owned their house. Took vacations. My mother had her book club and her tennis lessons. What kind of trouble? I asked. She explained it slowly, like she was embarrassed. My father had made some bad investments. Nothing illegal. Just bad timing and worse advice. They'd lost a significant amount from their retirement savings. "We're going to be fine," she said. "We just need to make some adjustments. Cut back on things." "Okay," I said. I didn't know why she was telling me this. Then she got quiet. The kind of quiet that meant she was about to ask for something. "The thing is," she said, "we're a little short this month. Just this month. We have the mortgage payment and the car payment, and we're about $1,200 short." My stomach dropped. "I wouldn't ask," she continued, "but you're doing so well. And I know you've been saving. It's just a loan. We'll pay you back next month when your father gets his bonus." I should have said no. I should have asked more questions. I should have wondered why she called me instead of asking Melissa, who'd just married someone who worked in finance. But I didn't. Because when your mother asks for help, when she finally needs you, you say yes. "Of course," I said. "I can transfer it tomorrow." "Oh, Emily." Her voice went soft. "Grateful. Thank you. You're such a good daughter. I knew I could count on you." I'd waited my whole life to hear her say something like that. It should have felt better than it did. I transferred the money the next day. $1,200 from my emergency fund. She never paid me back. Not next month. Not ever. When I brought it up 6 weeks later, she looked confused. "Oh, honey, I thought that was a gift. You said you were happy to help." I said it was a loan. "Well, you know how things are right now. We're barely keeping our heads above water. I didn't realize you were keeping track." That sentence. I didn't realize you were keeping track. Like wanting my money back made me petty. I let it go. Because what else do you do? But 3 months later, she called again. This time it was the property tax. $2,000. Just until we sort out the refinance, she said. I sent it. Then it was the HVAC system. $4,000. We'll freeze this winter without it, Emily. I sent it. Each time, she said it was the last time. Each time, she made it sound like I was saving them from disaster. Each time, I told myself this was finally my chance to be the daughter she valued. I never asked Melissa to help. My mother made it clear this was between us. Your sister has her own expenses, she'd say. And you know how Mark is about money. Mark, Melissa's husband, made twice what I did. But I didn't say that. I just sent the money. After the first year, she stopped calling it a loan. She stopped mentioning paying me back. The script changed from "we'll get this back to you" to "you're such a lifesaver" to eventually just "can you help with something?" By the second year, it wasn't just the house. It was Melissa's credit card debt. Just $5,000. She's so stressed, Emily. You know how she gets. It was my brother's legal fees. He made a mistake. He needs a good lawyer. It was my mother's medical bills. Insurance doesn't cover everything. It was always something. And I always sent it. Not because I was generous. Not because I didn't need the money. Because saying no meant being the selfish one. The daughter who had money but wouldn't help her family. I'd spent my whole life being invisible. This was the first time I felt necessary. Even if it was only when they needed something. I started picking up extra freelance work. Consulting projects on weekends. I stopped going out with friends. Stopped traveling. Stopped buying anything that wasn't essential. My apartment was mostly empty. Furniture from Facebook Marketplace. No art on the walls. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Just until they got back on their feet. Just until things stabilized. Just until. But, just until kept stretching. 3 months became 6. 6 became a year. A year became 2. I did the math once. Late at night, unable to sleep, I opened a spreadsheet and added it all up. $73,000. In 2.5 years, I'd given my family $73,000. I sat there staring at that number until my vision blurred. That was a down payment on a house. That was a year of not working. That was freedom. And I'd handed it over, $1,000 at a time, because my mother said she needed it. I told myself I'd stop. I told myself the next time she called, I'd say no. But the next time she called, she was crying. And I sent the money. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't find out until much later, was that Melissa knew. She'd known the whole time. My mother had told her. Casually. Like it was nothing. Emily's helping out with some bills, she'd said. And Melissa had said, that's nice of her. That's it. Not, should we help too? Not, is she okay financially? Just, that's nice of her. Like I was picking up a check at dinner. Like it was a small favor, easily given. But I didn't know that yet. All I knew was that I was tired. Bone deep tired. And somewhere, in a place I didn't want to look at too closely, I was angry. Not the hot kind of angry. The cold kind. The kind that sits in your chest and hardens. I didn't know what to do with that anger. So I did what I always did. I kept quiet. I kept working. I kept sending money. And I told myself it meant something. That one day they'd realize. They'd see what I'd done. They'd understand. I really believed that. Right up until that Thanksgiving. The dinner itself was fine. That's what made it worse, I think. If it had been a disaster, if someone had yelled or thrown something, I could have pointed to it later and said, that was the moment. But it was just fine. The turkey was good. My mother had outdone herself. Someone brought a cranberry salad that was too sweet, but everyone ate it anyway. My brother told the same 3 stories he always tells. Melissa's kids ran around the living room while the adults pretended to be annoyed, but secretly loved the noise. Normal. Painfully, suffocatingly normal. I sat at the end of the table and ate and smiled and answered questions when people asked them. Yes, work is good. No, I'm not seeing anyone. Yes, I'm still in the same apartment. No, I don't have any big plans. My mother barely looked at me during dinner. She was busy hosting, making sure everyone had enough food, laughing at jokes, playing the role she loved most. The matriarch. The center of everything. She was good at it. I left around 8. Early enough that someone noticed. Leaving already? My aunt asked. Long drive, I said. My mother walked me to the door. Just her and me in the entryway while everyone else stayed in the living room. Thanks for coming, she said. She was holding a wine glass. Her 4th, maybe 5th. Her cheeks were pink. Of course, I said. I waited for her to mention the comment. The family failure thing. I waited for her to pull me aside and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, I was trying to be funny and it came out wrong. She didn't. She just hugged me, quick and distracted, and said, "Drive safe." I got in my car and sat there for a minute before starting it. Through the window, I could see them all inside. The warm light. The laughter. My mother back at the center of it all, gesturing with her wine glass, telling some story. They looked complete without me. They always had. I drove home with the radio off. 4 hours of silence and highway lights. I told myself I was fine. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself a lot of things. But something had shifted. Something I couldn't name yet. It felt like standing on ice and hearing it crack. Not breaking. Just cracking. That sound that means you need to move carefully now. That means something is different even if it doesn't look different yet. I got home at midnight. My apartment was cold. I'd turned the heat down to save money before I left. I sat on my couch in my coat and opened my banking app. I don't know why I did it. Some kind of compulsion. Some need to see the proof. My checking account, $1,847. My savings account, $3,200. I was 30 years old. I had a master's degree and a good job. And I had less than $5,000 in the bank. I opened my sent transactions. Scrolled back through the months. There it was. All of it. A catalog of every time I'd chosen them over myself. $2,000 to Mom. Property tax help. $1,500 to Mom. Emergency car repair. $3,000 to Mom. Melissa's medical bill. $800 to Mom. Utilities behind. On and on and on. The most recent was from 3 days before Thanksgiving. $1,200 to Mom. Extra for holiday expenses. I'd sent it without her even asking. She'd mentioned on the phone that hosting was expensive this year, and I'd just sent it. To help with the holiday where she'd called me the family failure. I sat there staring at my phone until the screen went dark. Then I opened my email. I don't know what I was looking for. Evidence maybe. Proof that I wasn't making this up, that it was as bad as it felt. I found it. An email from 8 months ago. My mother, asking if I could help with just a few bills. She'd attached a list. Mortgage, $2,100. Car payment, $480. Insurance, $320. Credit card minimums, $650. Utilities, $310. I'd sent $3,500. Everything except the credit cards, which I'd told her I couldn't cover that month. She'd written back, "Thank you, sweetheart. You're a lifesaver. Don't know what we'd do without you." I scrolled further back. Another email. This one from a year ago. "Emily, I hate to ask, but Melissa's in a bind. Her furnace broke, and Mark's being difficult about the money. She's too proud to ask you herself. Could you help? She needs about $4,000. I'd sent it the same day. I scrolled back further. 2 years ago. Right when this all started. An email with the subject line. Urgent, need to talk. I opened it. "Emily, I'm so sorry to do this, but we're in trouble. Real trouble. Your father's investments went bad, and we're looking at losing the house. We need $15,000 by the end of the month, or the bank starts foreclosure. I know this is huge. I know we've never asked anything like this. But you're the only one who can help. Melissa and Mark are maxed out with the new house, and you know your brother's situation. You've always been the one we can count on. Please. I'm begging you." I remembered that email. I remembered the panic I'd felt reading it. I remembered emptying my entire savings account, everything I'd saved in 6 years of working, and sending it to her. She'd called me crying, thanking me, calling me her angel. "This is it," she'd said. "After this we'll be okay. I promise. This is the last time." It wasn't the last time. It was the first time. I sat there in my cold apartment, holding my phone, and something inside me just stopped. Not broke. Stopped. Like a machine that's been running too long and finally shuts down. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt nothing. And that nothing was so much worse than anything else I'd felt. Because it meant I'd finally run out. Whatever I'd been using to fuel this, hope, love, obligation, desperation, it was gone. I was empty. I opened my messages. Found my mother's name. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to type something. Anything. I wanted to ask her if she knew. If she had any idea what she'd taken from me. If she understood that I'd given her my entire life, and she'd called me a failure anyway. But I didn't type anything. Because I knew what would happen. She'd be confused. Or defensive. Or she'd turn it around somehow. Make it about her feelings. Her stress. Her needs. And I'd end up apologizing. I'd done it before. Every time I tried to bring up the money, tried to ask when they'd pay me back, tried to set a boundary, I'd ended up being the one saying sorry. Sorry for bringing it up. Sorry for making her feel bad. Sorry for keeping track. Sorry for existing as anything other than a solution to her problems. I set my phone down. I didn't send anything. But I made a decision. I couldn't name it yet. Couldn't articulate what it was. But something had ended. And something else, something I didn't have a word for yet, had just begun. If you're still watching right now, you're exactly the kind of viewer I love. Subscribe so I can keep giving you stories that touch your heart. Hit that bell so you never miss what happens next. The first call came 6 days after Thanksgiving. I was at work. In a meeting, actually. My phone buzzed on the table, and I saw her name. I let it go to voicemail. That alone was new. I'd always answered before. Always. Even in meetings, even during presentations, because what if it was an emergency? This time I let it ring. The voicemail notification popped up. I didn't listen to it. She called again that evening. Then again at 9 p.m. I sat on my couch and watched her name light up my screen 3 times. Then a text. Call me when you can. Need to discuss something. I turned my phone face down. I should tell you what I was feeling, but I don't know if I can explain it accurately. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't revenge. It was quieter than that. It felt like putting down something heavy. Something I'd been carrying so long I'd forgotten I was carrying it. My shoulders didn't hurt anymore. The next morning, there were 2 more texts. Emily, I really need to talk to you. It's about the mortgage payment. Call me ASAP. I read them while drinking coffee. Then I put my phone away and went to work. At lunch, my sister called. I answered that one. I'm not sure why. Curiosity, maybe. Hey, Em. Melissa's voice was light. Casual. Mom said she's been trying to reach you. I've been busy. Right, well, she needs to talk to you about something. Money thing. You know how she is with the bank stuff. Okay. A pause. So, you'll call her? Maybe later. Emily. Her tone shifted. Still friendly but with an edge. Come on. Don't be difficult. She's stressed. That word. Difficult. I'd heard it my whole life. Usually right before I gave in to something I didn't want to do. I have to go, I said. I'm at work. I hung up. My hands weren't shaking. That surprised me. I'd expected to feel guilty. I felt nothing. By Friday there were 11 missed calls. My mother. Melissa. My brother. Even my aunt. The texts were getting more urgent. Emily, this is serious. We're going to be late on the payment. I don't understand why you're not responding. Did I do something wrong? That last one almost got me. Almost. But I thought about that Thanksgiving table. About the family failure comment. About every time I'd emptied my account while she bought jewelry and went to tennis lessons. I didn't respond. The following Monday, my mother showed up at my office. I didn't know she even knew where my office was. I'd never invited her. Never talked about it much. But there she was in the lobby when I came back from a coffee run. She looked smaller than I remembered. Tired. She was wearing a puffy coat, and her hair wasn't styled the way she usually kept it. Emily. She stood up from the lobby couch. You've been ignoring me. Everyone in the lobby was suddenly very interested in their phones. I've been busy, I said. Too busy to return a phone call? For a week. Can we not do this here? Then where? You won't answer your phone. You won't respond to texts. What am I supposed to do? I looked at her. Really looked at her. She was angry. Not worried. Not hurt. Angry. Because I hadn't done what she wanted. Why are you here, Mom? The mortgage payment is due tomorrow. I need $3,000. Not a question. Not a request. A statement of need. An expectation. I can't help you this month, I said. She blinked. What? I can't help. I'm sorry. What do you mean you can't help? I mean I don't have it. Emily, this isn't funny. We're going to be late. Do you know what that does to our credit? People were definitely listening now. A guy by the elevator had given up pretending to look at his phone. I'm not trying to be funny, I said quietly. I just can't help right now. Can't or won't? That question hung there. Both, I said. Her face changed. Went from angry to something else. Something harder to read. I see. She picked up her purse. So this is about Thanksgiving. What? You're punishing me because of a joke. That's what this is. I felt something crack open in my chest. Not pain. Something worse. Clarity. You think this is about Thanksgiving? What else would it be about? You've been fine helping us for years and now suddenly, right after Thanksgiving, you can't? You're being petty, Emily. The guy by the elevator was full on watching now. I've given you over $70,000 in 3 years, I said. She went very still. I've emptied my savings. I've worked extra jobs. I've lived in an apartment with furniture from the side of the road because I sent you every extra dollar I had. And you called me a failure at Thanksgiving dinner. I was joking. You weren't joking. You've never seen me as anything but a bank account that occasionally shows up to family dinners. That's not fair. Fair. My voice cracked. I hadn't meant for it to. You want to talk about fair? Lower your voice. People are staring. Then leave. She stared at me. Her eyes were wet, but I couldn't tell if it was real or strategic. She was good at crying when she needed something. I'm your mother, she said. I know. Family helps family. I have helped. For 3 years. I'm done. Done. She repeated the word like it was foreign. You're done. Yes. She stood there for another moment, her hand gripping her purse strap, so tight her knuckles were white. You're going to regret this, she said quietly. Then she left. I stood in that lobby for a full minute after she walked out. The guy by the elevator caught my eye and gave me a small nod. Solidarity or pity, I couldn't tell. I went back upstairs to my desk and sat down and stared at my computer screen. My hands were shaking now, but I didn't call her back. The text started that evening. From Melissa. What the hell did you say to Mom? She's crying. From my brother. I don't know what's going on, but Mom said you refused to help with the mortgage. That's cold. From my aunt. Your mother called me very upset. She said you spoke to her disrespectfully. What's gotten into you? From my mother. I never thought you could be this cruel. After everything we've done for you. That last one made me laugh. Actually laugh out loud in my empty apartment. After everything they'd done for me. I opened my laptop. Created a new folder. Started gathering documentation. Bank statements. Venmo transactions. Emails. Texts. Every request. Every transfer. This is the last time, I promise. 3 years of evidence. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet. I just knew I needed to see it all in one place. Needed proof that I wasn't crazy. That this had been real. The spreadsheet took me 2 hours to build. $73,412. In 3 years. I sat back and stared at that number. That was a house. That was a life. That was everything I'd given up so they could keep pretending everything was fine. And I was the difficult one for stopping. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Melissa. You need to apologize to Mom. I typed back. No. Just that. One word. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She texted. Are you serious right now? She's your mother. Me, I'm aware. Her, she raised you. Fed you. Took care of you. And this is how you repay her. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I typed. Do you know how much money I've given her? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. She said you've helped out. So what? That's what family does. How much do you think I've given her? I don't know. A few thousand? Emily, what does it matter? You have a good job. You can afford it. A few thousand. My sister thought I'd given them a few $1,000s. Me, 73,000. The 3 dots appeared and disappeared 3 times. Then, bullshit. Me. I have documentation. No response for 5 minutes. Then, even if that's true, nobody asked you to give that much. That was your choice. I read that text 3 times. Your choice. Like I'd decided one day to just hand over my entire financial future for fun. I didn't respond. I closed my laptop. Turned off my phone. Sat in the dark. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 weeks went by. Radio silence from my family. Complete and total silence. Part of me had expected them to keep trying. Keep calling. Keep showing up. They didn't. And that told me everything I needed to know. I wasn't a daughter to them. I was a function. And when I stopped functioning, I stopped existing. I went to work. I came home. I started doing things I hadn't done in years. I bought art for my walls. Nothing expensive, just prints from local artists. But they made my apartment feel less like a place I was just surviving in. I signed up for a pottery class. Something I'd wanted to do since college, but never had the money for. I went to dinner with friends and didn't calculate the tip 3 times in my head before leaving it. Small things. But they felt enormous. My bank account was growing. Not quickly, but steadily. $4,300 in my checking. $5,200 in my savings. Numbers I hadn't seen in years. I was okay. Better than okay. And then Christmas came. I hadn't been invited to Christmas. No one had explicitly uninvited me, But there was no text about what time to come, no question about what I was bringing. Just silence. I'd expected that. Almost wanted it. I spent Christmas morning alone in my apartment. Made pancakes. Watched movies. It was peaceful. At 3 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Emily? A man's voice. Familiar, but I couldn't place it. Yes. It's Mark. Melissa's husband. I sat up straighter. Mark and I had barely ever spoken directly. Hi, I said carefully. Listen, I don't know if I should be calling you. Melissa doesn't know I am. Okay. I found something. Documents. Bank statements. I was organizing files for our taxes and I found. Emily, what the hell has been going on? My heart started pounding. What did you find? Your mother's bank statements. Melissa has access to the account. Sometimes she helps them with their bills, and I guess the statements get forwarded to her email. I was just trying to sort things out and I saw. Jesus, Emily. Transfer after transfer. All from you. Going back years. I didn't say anything. $73,000. His voice was quiet. Is that real? Yes. And Melissa knew? That question hung there. Did she? I asked. He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. I asked her about it an hour ago. She said she knew you helped sometimes but didn't know it was that much. But Emily, some of these transfers have notes. For Melissa's medical bill. For Melissa's credit cards. She had to know. Something cold settled in my stomach. How much was for Melissa? I asked. Papers rustling. I'm looking at, it looks like about $22,000. Over the 3 years. For her credit cards mostly. Some medical bills. That time her car broke down. $22,000. For my sister. Who'd called me selfish for stopping. Mark, I said carefully. Why are you telling me this? Because it's fucked up. He sounded angry. I make good money. We're not struggling. If Melissa needed help with her credit cards, she should have asked me, not let your mother guilt you into paying them. And your mother? Jesus. The property taxes? The mortgage? Emily, they refinanced last year. Did you know that? What? They pulled equity out of the house. $60,000. It's right here in the bank statements. June of last year. 3 months before my mother called me crying about not being able to afford the property taxes. What did they do with the money? I asked. I don't know. It's not in their account anymore. But Emily, if they had $60,000 in June, why the hell were they asking you for money in September? I couldn't speak. I think you should talk to your dad, Mark said. I don't think he knows about all of this. I really don't. I saw him last week, and he was talking about how tight money's been, and I mentioned something about how at least you'd been helping out, and he looked confused. He said, Emily? What do you mean? The room tilted. My dad doesn't know. I don't think so. I think your mom's been. I don't know what she's been doing. But something isn't right. After we hung up, I sat there for 20 minutes. Then I called my father. He answered on the second ring. Emily. He sounded surprised. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Dad. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you know how much money I've given Mom in the last 3 years? Silence. Then, what? Mom's been asking me for money. For 3 years. I'm wondering if you knew. Money for what? My chest tightened. The mortgage. Property taxes. Car payments. Bills. Emily, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Dad, I've sent Mom over $70,000 since 2022. The silence was so long I thought the call had dropped. Dad, that's not possible. His voice was strange. Hollow. It's possible. I have records. For what? Emily, what was this money supposedly for? She said you had financial trouble. That you lost money in investments. That you were going to lose the house. We didn't lose money in investments. We're fine. We've always been fine. The floor dropped out. What? We had one bad quarter in 2021. I was worried for a bit. But we recovered. We've been comfortable since then. Emily, we've never been in danger of losing the house. Why would she tell you that? I couldn't breathe. Dad, she's been calling me for 3 years. Asking for money. Saying it was emergencies. Jesus Christ. He sounded sick. I had no idea. Emily, I swear to God, I had no idea. Where did the money go? I don't know. I'm looking at our bank account right now. I'm looking at the deposits. There's nothing here from you. Nothing even close to those amounts. My hands started shaking. The money I sent went to her personal account. The one in just her name. She doesn't have an account in just her name. We've always had joint accounts. Dad, I've been sending money to an account ending in 4738. Silence. Emily, that's not our account. I don't know what account that is. The world narrowed to a single point. I need to go, I heard myself say. Emily, wait. I hung up. My fingers were numb as I opened my banking app. Found the account number I'd been sending money to for 3 years. I'd never questioned it. She'd sent me the information in that first panicked email. I'd saved it in my contacts and used it every time. Never thought twice. I called my bank. The representative was cheerful. Holiday cheer in her voice. How can I help you today? I need to verify who owns an account. I've been sending money to it. I can't give out information about other people's accounts, but I can confirm if transfers went through. Can you tell me anything about the account? The name on it. Let me look. Typing. The account ending in 4738? Yes. That account is registered to. More typing. Patricia Marie Chin. That's my mother. Oh, well then. Is my father's name on the account? Let me check. No, it's a single account holder. Just Patricia Chun. I thanked her and hung up. My mother had a secret bank account. She'd been funneling my money into a secret bank account for 3 years. While telling me they were desperate. While telling me they'd lose the house. While crying on the phone about how scared she was. While calling me the family failure. My phone rang. My father. Emily, I'm looking at her tablet. I got into her email. There are dozens of messages from you. Confirmations of transfers. She's been asking you for money constantly. I know, Dad. There's an email here from October. You sent $4,000 for emergency medical bills. We didn't have any medical emergencies. Her insurance covered everything. Dad. And another one. $6,000 for Melissa's credit cards. Why the hell would we ask you to pay Melissa's credit cards? I don't know. I'm going through the accounts now. All our accounts. Emily, there's no emergency. There never was. We're fine. Better than fine. We have over $80,000 in savings. $80,000. While I lived on ramen and worked weekends and emptied every account I had. Where is she? I asked. At your brother's. Christmas dinner. I stayed home. Said I wasn't feeling well. Don't tell her we talked. Emily. Please. Not yet. He was quiet for a moment. Okay. But we need to figure this out. We will. After we hung up, I sat there in my quiet apartment. I wasn't crying. I wasn't yelling. I was cold. Ice cold. The kind of cold that starts in your center and spreads. My mother had lied. For 3 years. Every phone call. Every email. Every tear-filled plea. All lies. And she'd used my love, my desperate, pathetic need to matter to her, as a weapon. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Mark told me you two talked. I don't know what he said, but he's wrong. Mom needed help and you gave it. Nobody forced you. I stared at that text. Then I opened my laptop. I attached the spreadsheet. All $73,000 documented. I attached screenshots of the emails. Every request. Every lie. I typed. This is what I gave. These are the reasons she gave. Dad says none of it was true. She has a secret bank account. You got $22,000 of my money for credit cards while Mark was making 6 figures. Merry Christmas. I sent it. Then I sent the same thing to my brother. To my aunt. To everyone who'd called me selfish. My phone started ringing immediately. I turned it off. I poured myself a glass of wine. My hands were steady. And I waited. The messages started appearing when I turned my phone back on the next morning. 43 texts. 16 missed calls. 7 voicemails. I made coffee first. Sat down at my kitchen table with the morning light coming through the window. Then I started reading. My brother. I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. My aunt. Emily, I owe you an apology. I should have asked more questions. Melissa. Nothing from Melissa. My father. We need to talk. Your mother and I. You, me, and her. Please. And from my mother. You had no right to send those documents to everyone. You've humiliated me. This is a private family matter. I read that 3 times. A private family matter. $73,000 of theft was a private family matter. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I got dressed. Drove to my parents' house. It was 9 a.m. on the day after Christmas. My father answered the door. He looked like he hadn't slept. She's in the living room, he said quietly. My mother was sitting on the couch. Still in her robe. No makeup. She looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. She didn't look at me when I walked in. Emily, my father said. Sit down. I'll stand. He nodded. sat in the armchair across from my mother. The room felt like a courtroom. Your mother has something to say, he said. She still didn't look at me. Mom, he said. His voice was harder than I'd ever heard it. She finally raised her eyes. They were red. But I couldn't tell if she'd been crying or if she'd just woken up. I'm sorry, she said. The words hung there. Flat. Empty. For what? I asked. For asking you for too much money. That's not what you're sorry for. She blinked. What? You're not sorry for asking for too much. You're sorry you got caught. That's not fair. Where did the money go? Silence. $73,000. I want to know where it went. She looked at my father. He stared back at her with an expression I'd never seen him wear. Cold. Waiting. Some of it went to bills, she said quietly. How much? I don't remember exactly. How much? Maybe 15,000. Over the 3 years. And the rest? She didn't answer. My father leaned forward. Patricia, where did the money go? I was saving it, she said. We both stared at her. Saving it for what? I asked. For emergencies. For the future. For retirement. You have 80,000 in your retirement account, my father said. I checked. That's not enough. So you stole from our daughter? His voice broke. You lied to her? Made her think we were losing our house? Made her empty her savings? While you squirreled away her money. I didn't steal. She gave it willingly. Because you lied to her. My mother flinched. I'd never heard my father yell before. Where's the money now? I asked. She didn't answer. Mom, where is it? Most of it's still there. In the account. How much? About $58,000. $58,000. Sitting in her secret account. While I worked myself to exhaustion. I want it back, I said. Emily, she started. All of it. Every dollar. I want it transferred back to me by the end of the week. That's not fair. Some of it went to legitimate expenses. I don't care. Emily, please. You called me the family failure. At Thanksgiving. In front of everyone. While I was funding your secret retirement account. She went pale. I have spent my entire life trying to matter to you, I said. My voice was steady. I was proud of how steady it was. I have done everything right. Good grades. Good job. Never asked for anything. And it was never enough. I was never enough. That's not true. It is true. The only time I mattered to you was when you needed money. And even then, you didn't see me as a person. You saw me as a resource. I'm your mother. You're a stranger who shares my DNA. She started crying then. Real tears this time, I think. But I felt nothing. I'll transfer 40,000, she said. That's fair. That accounts for what I actually spent. All of it. Emily, please. We can work this out. Family works things out. We're not family. Family doesn't do this. I looked at my father. He was staring at his hands. Dad, I'm sorry you're in the middle of this. He looked up. His eyes were wet. I'm sorry I didn't know. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. It's not your fault. I should have paid more attention. To the finances. To her. To you. I nodded. I looked at my mother one last time. She was still crying. Still sitting there in her expensive robe in her expensive house that I'd helped pay for without knowing it. You have until Friday, I said. If the money isn't in my account, I'm filing a police report. You wouldn't. Try me. I walked to the door. My father followed me. Emily, he said quietly. What happens now? I don't know, I said. But I'm done. I'm completely done. With her or with all of us? I thought about that. I don't know yet. He nodded. Pulled me into a hug. He smelled like coffee and sadness. I love you, he said. I'm sorry I didn't say that more. I'm sorry for a lot of things. I know, I said. I drove home. Sat in my apartment. Waited. Friday came. At 9 a.m., I got a notification. Transfer received. $58,247.19. I stared at that number for a long time. It wasn't everything. It didn't account for the interest I would have earned. The opportunities I'd missed. The life I'd put on hold. But it was something. My phone rang. My mother. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I listened to it once. Emily. The money's transferred. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. You've turned your father against me. You've humiliated me in front of everyone. I hope it was worth it. I hope you enjoy spending that money knowing you've ruined your mother's life. I deleted it. Blocked her number. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I cried. Not sad crying. Not angry crying. Relief crying. The kind that comes when you've been holding something so tight for so long that when you finally let go, your body doesn't know what to do with the freedom. I cried for the daughter who tried so hard. I cried for the money and the time and the life I'd given away. I cried for the mother I'd wanted and never had. And then I stopped. I washed my face, made lunch, opened my laptop. I had $58,000. I could do anything. For the first time in 3 years, I could do anything. I started looking at apartments. Nice ones. With big windows and space for furniture that wasn't from Facebook Marketplace. I looked at vacation packages. Places I'd always wanted to go but never could. I looked at my pottery class schedule and signed up for the advanced course. Small things. Big things. My things. 3 months later, I ran into Melissa at the grocery store. We stood in the produce section, both holding baskets, both frozen. "Hi," she said finally. "Hi. How are you?" "Good. You?" "Good." The conversation felt like walking on broken glass. "Mark told me everything," she said. "About the credit cards. I swear, Emily, I didn't know how much you were paying. Mom just said you were helping out sometimes." "Okay." I would have stopped her if I'd known. I nodded. I didn't believe her, but it didn't matter anymore. "She wants to talk to you," Melissa said. It's been hard for her. Dad's barely speaking to her. She lost half her book club. Everyone knows. "Good," I said. Melissa blinked. "That's harsh. She stole from me for 3 years. She gave the money back. After I threatened to call the police." We stood there. The refrigerated air from the produce section made me shiver. "Are you ever going to forgive her?" Melissa asked. I thought about that question. Really thought about it. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe one day. But not because she deserves it. Because I deserve to stop carrying it." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm done letting her take up space in my head. I'm done being angry. I'm just done." "So that's it? You're just never going to talk to her again?" "I didn't say that. I said I'm done. There's a difference." I picked up an apple, examined it, put it in my basket. "I have to go," I said. "Emily. Take care of yourself, Melissa." I walked away. At the register, I paid for my groceries with my debit card and didn't calculate my bank balance first. I drove home to my new apartment, the one with the big windows and the furniture I'd picked out myself. I made dinner, listened to music, called a friend, and I didn't think about my mother once. That night, I sat on my couch with a glass of wine and looked around my space. My space. Not haunted by what I'd given up. Not empty because I'd sent the money somewhere else. Just mine. I thought about that Thanksgiving table. About the family failure comment. About how much it had hurt. It still hurt if I was honest. But it hurt less. Because I finally understood something I should have known all along. I wasn't the failure. I never had been. I'd been the one holding everything together. I'd been the one they counted on. I'd been the one who showed up, who helped, who gave everything. And when I stopped, when I finally put myself first, the structure collapsed. That wasn't my failure. That was theirs. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Dinner next week? Just us." I looked at that text for a long moment. Then I typed back, "Yes." Some bridges could be rebuilt. Some couldn't. I was learning to tell the difference. I finished my wine, washed the glass, got ready for bed. And for the first time in 3 years, I fell asleep without worrying about the next phone call, the next request, the next emergency that wasn't really an emergency. I fell asleep free. And that was worth more than $73,000. That was worth everything. Subscribe and drop a comment below if this resonated with you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's still giving everything to people who take them for granted, send this to them. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.